Ah, yes, Jayce and the Wheeled Warriors, the show that looked at 1985 at the absolute zenith of the Reagan era toy commercial industry complex and decided the appropriate response was, you know what children really need? Not Optimus Prime, not He-Man, not a single character with a recognizable face you could actually buy at Kmart. No, what they need is a boy with no father racing a fleet of sentient cars across the galaxy chasing an organic plant apocalypse that his dad accidentally cooked up in a lab. With no ending, no resolution, no reunion, just the void, and a genuinely incredible theme song. Because why not? 65 episodes, a fully written movie script, a villain nobody defeated, and a toyline that killed it off by committing the single most spectacular act of corporate self-sabotage in 80s merchandise history by forgetting to put the actual characters in the toys. Classic. Now here's the thing they don't put on the box. The writer hired to build the mythology of Jayce and the real warriors was a young, hungry TV scribe named J. Michael Straczynski. Yes, that J. Michael Straczynski, the man who would later create Babylon 5, one of the most acclaimed serialized science fiction series in television history, a show that rewrote what prestige television was even allowed to look like. In 1985, he was there, trying, in his own words, hijack a dopey concept and make it into something more. The dopey concept in question? Mattel had a modular vehicle toy line, no story, and the check made out to a French animation studio called Dick. Because when you need a pulpy American sci-fi space opera for children, naturally you go to Paris. That's the machine this thing was born inside, and Straczynski was already trying to break it. The mythology they constructed for a show that existed to sell toy cars is generally ambitious, so let's keep it a buck about this. The premise: Audric, a botanist, is doing experiments in deep space. He's attempting to engineer a plant capable of ending galactic starvation. It's a noble goal. He's a great man. Then a nearby star goes supernova. The radiation hits his lab, and his carefully designed hunger-ending super plant mutates into Saul Boss, the first monster mind, the progenitor of a race of organic plant-based horrors that reproduce by growing massive green vines across interstellar space, sprouting copies of themselves at every destination. You wanted to end starvation? You got a botanical apocalypse. The cosmos shrugs. Audric barely escapes, creates a magic root capable of destroying the monster mind. A broken botanist haunted across the galaxy by the thing he accidentally birthed. And thus the show begins, not with a champion already in possession of his power, but with a boy with half a root, a wizard, a mercenary pilot who is absolutely Han Solo with his serial numbers badly filed off, a telepathic humanoid flower named Flora, and a tiny armored squire who exists primarily to be chased by robotic dogs, thundering across the stars searching for a father who keeps just barely staying out of reach, haunted by the botanical extinction event his father accidentally set loose on the universe. The monster minds, by the way, don't just threaten planets. They spread via vines that cross interstellar space. These beings are propagating across the galaxy like cosmic kazoo. The scale of the horror is almost Lovecraftian. This isn't a robot army with an off switch. This is a living, growing, self-replicating extinction event. And it started with a good man trying to do a good thing. Actually, it's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but without them taking over human bodies. Straczynski wrote roughly a quarter of the show's 65 episodes himself, with Larry DiTillo and Barbara Hambly filling out significant portions of the writing roster. And in the episodes he controlled, you can feel something straining against the toy commercial straitjacket. Stories about loss, about a son defined by an absent father, about responsibilities for the things you create and unleash into the world, about the particular horror of a quest that might never end. And here's the thing about Saul Boss that the show never fully explicitly earns through the 65 episodes of mythology. He didn't choose this. He was an accident. Audric's accident. The monster mind apocalypse was born from good intentions and cosmic bad luck. Saul Boss is the consequence of a man reaching for something beautiful and touching a star instead. That's not just some cartoon premise, that's a novel, and Straczynski knew it. Now, here's where the machine breaks down, visibly, pathetically, and in a kind of poetic inevitability that the show itself might have written. The Wheeled Warrior toys, and they were clever toys, modular, durable, generally innovative, did not include Jayce, did not include Hurt, did not include Jillian, did not include any of the faces children spent 22 million per episode caring about. The Lightning League figures were generic nobodies. The Monster Mind set were faceless brain pod creatures. In the era of media-driven toy marketing that Mattel itself had helped pioneer with He-Man, having conclusively proven that children buy the character, the personality, and the face, Mattel produced an entire toy line of vehicles with no one inside them worth caring about. So let's keep it a buck. Wheeled Warriors didn't fail because the show wasn't good enough. Actually, it failed because the toys were disconnected from what made the show compelling. You cannot build emotional investment in a chrome and plastic vehicle when the kid supposedly piloting it is a generic nobody with no name, no story, and no connection to the boy you watch racing across space looking for his father every afternoon. Sales were, of course, disappointing. Mattel pulled back, no second wave, no character figures, and definitely no rescue. The show got its 65 episodes already produced, already broadcast, and then nothing. No renewal, no extension, no finale. And here is where it becomes generally painful, because there was a movie planned. And of course there was. Remember, this was the era of cartoon feature film as toy advertisement. Think Transformers the movie, which killed Optimus Prime on a big screen. G.I. Joe the movie existed. The template was established. Dick, presumably feeling more obligation to a property with an actual narrative architecture, commissioned the script. Straczynski then wrote it. In the film, Jayce finally meets the original Lightning League. He trains on the homeworld of the Guardians. He finds his father, and then, deliciously, Saul Boss kills Audric, the man who created the monster minds, killed by the thing he made at the exact moment his son arrives. Jayce, having lost his father at the precise moment of reunion, unites the two halves of the magic root. Saul Boss falls, the monster minds collapse, and the galaxy survives. End. The script exists. Straczynski wrote every page of it. It was shelved the moment the toy line sale numbers came in. So, the boy never finds his father, the root stays divided, Saul Boss is still out there growing vines, and somewhere in the filing cabinet the ending is sitting in the dark, written but unfilmed, and waiting for a green light that never came. Not soft, not subtle, not hopeful, just a big green reminder that out there in the black something is still growing vines across the stars, because a good man tried to do something beautiful and the universe said, yeah, whatever. If you want genuine video essays on cult television, retro animation, and forgotten pop culture, subscribe to Pulp Vision, where there is no context farms, no trend chasing, and definitely no slop.